With the NFL Draft Combine being over and a ton of young stars on the rise, we will look to put some of these risers into their new teams. Tons of quarterback spots needed to be filled, an underrated edge class, and possibly the best player in the draft with Jalen Carter. I'll tell you here where I believe they will go as a prediction of the draft. Keep in mind, there are trades, but every team that is currently in the top 10 will still be there. I did not allow trades out of the top 10. You may see this as unrealistic, but it's very, very hard to predict trades that are far down in the draft, and anyone who says they can is a liar. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears, who trade their pick to the Colts. I won't get into details, but it will most likely be for their first this year and the next, with added bonuses. And with the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts trade up to 1 to draft quarterback C.J. Stroud. The Colts desperately need this pick to land. They've been trying to patch their leak at the quarterback position ever since Andrew Luck retired, and have gone from Jacoby Brissett to Dalton to Rivers to Wentz. And I, as well as many others, assumed Matt Ryan was going to push them over the hump into this playoffs, but of course, that was another dead end. This pick has to hit. It has to be relatively safe. The leak cannot be patched, and they need to get an entirely new boat. C.J. Stroud can be seen as the most pro-ready QB as of now. He and Young have been neck and neck, but I feel Stroud has him edged out because of the uncertainty of his smaller frame, which is a real turnoff for a team looking for their best bet player. With the number 2 pick in the draft, the Houston Texans select quarterback Bryce Young. I had a hard time choosing between Stroud and Bryce Young for the first overall pick, so it should be by no surprise that another quarterback needy team goes out and gets him at number 2 overall. Young was easily the best prospect in most eyes a few months ago, and his biggest doubts have been on his size and ability to stay healthy on an NFL field. These criticisms, in my opinion, have been very exaggerated, and I believe Young will be able to elevate this offense that has been relying on Davis Mills for the last couple years. Young at Alabama took the worst team they've had in years to a great spot despite what many may think. His ability to raise the floor of the Texans makes him the clear pick here at number 2. With the 3rd pick in the draft, the Arizona Cardinals select defensive tackle Jalen Carter. There's not too much you can say about Carter other than that he's the best prospect in the draft. The Cardinals just cannot miss here. He's the most pro-ready of all the picks in this draft and can take their defense to the next level. A position of need and the best young player just waiting for them. I think this may end up being the steal of the draft, even at pick 3. I want to take a minute to talk about the current legal situation he's dealing with, and I'll just say that I don't think this will make the Cardinals worried enough to not draft him here, especially with the other stories coming out when it comes to him being a great teammate. Unfortunately, it was just a bad situation all around, but the pre-draft interviews will be the most telling thing of where he lands up in the draft. After trading their pick to the Indianapolis Colts, the Chicago Bears select Will Anderson Jr., defensive end. Another great defensive prospect. Earlier in the year, Carter and Anderson were very close on who would be the best prospect, and while Anderson has slowly fallen out of that conversation, he is still very good and deserves more love than he's getting. His size and length are one of a kind at his level, and that, along with his amazing feel for football, will get him drafted high. For the Bears, some would have thought they could have taken him at 1 overall anyways. It's no secret that team has a lot of holes, and this will fill their edge need perfectly, with minimal downsides. The Bears come away with a huge win, extra draft compensation from the Colts, and they already have a hopeful franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. This gives them compensation, plus a player they may have picked at their original spot anyways. With the 5th pick in the draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Anthony Richardson, quarterback. To put it simply, Anthony Richardson is the most physically gifted quarterback prospect maybe ever. He's bigger than you, faster than you, stronger than you, can throw the ball farther than you. He's just that guy. I believe in risks for NFL teams. No team has ever won without taking risks. Richardson is a very raw prospect, and while he has an underrated floor, it's definitely lower than Stroud and Young in my opinion. The Seahawks can put him in the best possible position for a young quarterback without taking the biggest risk, because they already have Geno Smith as their starter. You may wonder why they would already look to get off of Geno after a stellar comeback season, and for me, it's simple. Geno will be getting paid this offseason, and they just traded their former quarterback Russell Wilson because of his huge contract. They can afford to keep Geno for the next couple years with his new contract, but after that, the dead cap is barely anything, and they will transition to a very talented quarterback who will have had time to sit behind him. Smith is a very technically sound quarterback, and Anthony Richardson will be able to learn from him. If it doesn't work out, then you keep Geno and trade Richardson, but as of now, it feels like a match made in heaven. In a semi-unsurprising trade, the Carolina Panthers trade up to 6 to hopefully get their quarterback for the future. With the 6th pick, the Carolina Panthers select quarterback Will Levis. The Panthers' quarterback situation sucks. It's very bad. They've been in the same situation as the Colts and arguably have had it worse. There are 4 quarterbacks in this draft that have big first-round grades and then multiple day 2 picks. The Panthers need to fire here because this is the last shot they have at getting one of the top guys. Trading ahead of the Raiders and the Falcons gives them the opportunity to do so, and they take Will Levis to have a real high upside starter for the 2023 in that bad division. Their roster is not close to as bad as people think, and with a good old line and DJ Moore, Levis can hopefully develop in a great spot. His arm strength itself can make him a threat, and his pocket weakness can hopefully be quelled by that line and more. With the 7th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select offensive lineman Peter Skoronski. The Raiders, after ending their relationship with Derek Carr, are most likely aiming for a quarterback in free agency, whether it be Rodgers, Jimmy G, Lamar, or even starting Stidham, who showed some signs in their last couple of games of the season. The problem now is putting a good roster around whoever that is. They have receivers, a great tight end, and they just signed Jacobs to a franchise tag. Now their only hole is offensive line, and Skoronski is my clear-cut number 1 offensive lineman prospect. He's pro-ready, he can fit right into that offense and be great whether they move him guard or not. With the 8th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select edge Tyree Wilson. The next best edge prospect in this draft, other than Anderson, has been rising in this draft above players like Myles Murphy and Lucas Van Ness. At 6'6", 270 out of Texas Tech, you're getting a beast on the line. He's kind of a project like last year's Trayvon Walker, but you cannot miss him here with his frame. The Falcons have had a massive need in their front 7, with both getting pressure and stopping the run. Adding him to this line with Grady Jarrett will leave teams fearing that line after this season. If Grady can stop the inside run, the back cannot cut back due to Tyree Wilson being great in cutback lanes. This 1-2 punch will be elite. After trading back with the Panthers, the Lions now hold the number 9 pick and draft Devin Witherspoon, cornerback. The Lions' main problem last season was their defense. There's no question about that. They have their offense set for the next couple years and are hoping to make a playoff push in this upcoming season. After drafting Hutchinson and him having a very productive season, they will put a great young cornerback into their system next. If we can expect a leap from Okudah, like we saw earlier in the season, they can have a no-fly zone at their corner position. This is assuming they don't go out and trade for Jalen Ramsey like a lot of people are projecting. But with this money and the capital you would need to give up, I believe Witherspoon is the right choice. When deciding between Witherspoon and other great cornerbacks like Christian Gonzalez, I chose Witherspoon, both because of his, in my opinion, greater coverage, but he also has a fire under him in a way I believe Dan Campbell and this hungry young Lions team needs. And with the final pick in the top 10, the Eagles via New Orleans select cornerback Christian Gonzalez. After taking Witherspoon at 9, the Eagles have the next man up in Christian Gonzalez. Gonzalez is a great corner that can help fill their depth needs. Having went to the Super Bowl just last season, and being what has been considered one of the most complete teams of all time, they look to add another stellar piece to even further tighten their grip on the weaker NFC. They have Slay and Maddox, and putting a top 10 pick corner into that 3 spot sets them up in an amazing position to both compete and develop. This will be even scarier this upcoming season, and I can easily see them coming out of the NFC again. To recap, we have the Colts trading up and drafting CJ Stroud, the Texans taking Bryce Young, Cardinals go big with Jalen Carter, Bears trade down and take Will Anderson Jr., the Seahawks shoot for the future and take Anthony Richardson, Panthers trade up and go Will Levis, the Raiders take tackle Peter Skoronski, Falcons take Tyree Wilson, Lions go Devin Witherspoon at 9, and the Eagles take Christian Gonzalez to end the top 10. Overall, what are your thoughts on this mock? Obviously a lot can change in the coming month or so before the draft, but we're shaping up for a very fun top of the first round.